So first things first, you're thinking of taking the CCNA exam, or you're thinking of doing the Comptia Net Plus exam, and you've basically you're researching why you should actually start this exam. So that's why I've made this video. Reasons why you should start it, reasons why I started it. The reason why I started the CCNA exam, and honestly, this isn't the greatest piece of advice I'm about to give. I started it because I studied in 2013 and I heard it was worth its weight in gold, and overall a great entry-level networking certification. I mean, honestly, I didn't research into it too much, and I just jumped straight into it. But now I've completed it, absorbed all the material, I can honestly hold my hand up and recommend it to others. I mean, there's the CompTIA Net Plus, which is great in its own right, but we'll compare and discuss the two later on. I mean, okay, the CCNA is good for foundational knowledge in networking, and networking is the bread and butter of technology. I mean, here's the way I see it. After the CCNA, you can manually configure and support small to medium-sized networks. It's great, right? So if you combine something like the Red Hat certification, a Red Hat certification, specifically the RCHSA, you could technically configure Linux servers and connect and optimize them within a network. This would make you a valuable asset to a company, and it'll put you ahead of competition of those with just the CCNA. You know, I'll expand on this topic later on, what I've just mentioned, but for now, closing this topic, I just want to let you know I've studied both exams as I was naive and I thought they would give me a high paying network support or junior network engineering role. But due to my location and circumstances, this didn't work out as planned. But as I said, we'll discuss more about this later on. So that brings me to my next topic, study habits and advice. Now, I believe this one's crucial, not only for passing this one particular exam, but in your professional working life. I'd even argue in your everyday life. And from someone who flunked school, never went beyond the community college diploma, this is what really took me a long time to master. The certain study habits, the techniques, and overall studying mentality. I see a lot of people who go into this exam like a chimpanzee full of adrenaline, and the nosedive hard, and they quit after the first few chapters. Because let's face it, studying tech, specifically networking, can be a bit soul destroying. So my advice for this, and it may sound somewhat cliche, is it's not a sprint. You don't have to prove to yourself that you can cover the entire material in record time. And if that's your approach, you will at some point get burnt out and probably not want to touch the material for some time. And I'm purely speaking from personal experience. But setting your goals back due to a delay in recovering, the best analogy I can give is physical exercise. Unless you're pumped full of steroids, like you're training for a triathlon, your body will get tired. The same applies to your mind. If you overwork it, you'll get burnt out and feel drained. I used to view studying as like a game like World of Warcraft. You know, in WoW, you invest a very, very, very large chunk of your time, and in return, you get to level up and choose your talents. But I learned the hard way. Studying really isn't like that. Your brain needs time to process concepts and recover. There's many study techniques you can check out, like the Pomodoro technique for time management, and the Feynman technique, which you basically the Feynman technique is if you can explain it simply to a child and they understand it, then you understand the concept. So there's so many different study techniques out there, and I'll be sure to link them all in the description below. Me personally, I just like to keep it simple. I like to do 30 minutes on, 30 minutes off. I'm at the moment I'm using Windows, so I use the clock app, go to a focus session or a stopwatch, and I'll write concise notes from a PDF and create flashcards and watch the video lectures and practice for labs. Me, I'm a repetition type of guy, but we're all different, and you honestly have to find your own rhythm. There's no silver bullet to conquering your study habits. If you're new to this, experiment with some techniques and just find what works for you. And that brings me to my final note on this section. You need to have set days you study and take rest days. Like I mentioned before, we physical exercise, like the gym, a tired body slash brain isn't that efficient. Right, this brings me to my next topic. The recommended books and software and video courses. Reading's it's essential. There's no avoiding it. Whether you're scouring through old forum posts and reading Cisco white papers or the RFC documents, it's a valuable skill to have. You know. But to answer this section related to the CCNA, the book I personally read, which helped me, was a Cisco Press book, as you can see right here on the screen, by Wendell Odom. I'll link it in. I'll link everything in the description where I find it all. But this book is it's really good. It's great, in fact, and I suspect most video content is probably referenced from it. From the video lectures, you've got your David Bombal course. Honestly, I think they're a bit overkill. They're great as a reference point when you've actually passed your exam, but in my humble opinion, but for me the best one, which worked for me, was Jeremy's IT lab. It's fantastic. He's very good at breaking down a concept and explaining it in simple terms. Each section is complemented with labs and Anki flashcards and how to resolve the said labs. You honestly can't go wrong with this guy, and he helped me massively pass the exam. The Anki software is really good. Basically, you can you download this software. You can create your own flashcards. If you're not too familiar with flashcards, I'll also link it in the description. But it's really good for testing your knowledge. You basically, and a good practice is to write a concept in your own words. Don't kind of rely on other people's flashcards. Just write in your own words so you understand it and you can memorize it a lot better, and it helps you understand the concept a lot better. So once you feel like you've covered all the material, the best thing, and this was really the cherry on the cake. This software really pushed me over the pass mark. Obviously you do the the software is the Ex-sim Max, the practice exams. It's brilliant. Arguably the harder than the real exam, but some oppose this statement though. Anyway, my advice is you do the exam, you see your weak areas, you focus on them by going over your material you've just read, like the Wendell Odom book, you see your video courses, your labs, you name it. So, yeah, and then you do a mock exam. When you've done the mock exam, it'll give an explanation, it'll show you areas you're weak on, and you just kind of progress from there. And finally, this is just all completely optional, but you can join like a Discord server, and like Jeremy's IT Lab has a Discord server, so is David Bombal. I believe Cisco have got one as well. And if you can't research the answer online, or you're your wit's end, just fire the question over to the server, and someone will probably answer it. It's good to have a community behind you, and it's good to have other people in the same situation as yourself, as it's easy to feel isolated when you're studying. Yeah, and another thing I forgot to mention, related to the recommended books and software. Basically, you've got if you're doing the CCNA, all you really need, it's just a packet tracer software. I mean, if you go up here, you need to create an account on the NetCard, the Cisco NetCard. And then you go up here, you just download packet tracer, click on this, go down. Then if you're on Ubuntu, if you're on Windows, you're on Mac, then you just download it from there. Something I just forgot to mention. I won't give a demonstration of how to use packet tracer because basically this is just an overview of my experience of the CCNA and Comptia Net Plus exams. So my next point, what jobs can you realistically do post-exam? Depending on your experience, if you have any at all, you're probably going to be doing first-line support, help desk, or service desk analyst role until you're confident and have a certain amount of exposure to networking. Yeah, you know what they say, certs get you the interview, real world experience is where the real learning begins. Uh, so you'll once you've done that, you'll probably move on to a desktop support role or network support or a junior network role. But the harsh truth is, even after passing the CCNA exam, you'll probably want to pick up another technology. Uh, Me, for example, I'm doing the RHCSA exam now as it aligns with my future goals with networking, and I feel it makes my resume or CV somewhat unique and diverse. Because let's face it, if you apply for a role with over 50 applicants and they have experience in a CCNA or a Comptia Net Plus, you need to have something, you need to have a little something extra to bring to the table to stand out. That's just my opinion, as there's no linear progression path, and I believe you have to be diverse and malleable with your skill set, and sure you have the capacity to learn alongside doing more than one role. Should it be like this? No. But companies like hire, in quotation marks, an IT guy who can do more than one job to save money, which in turn ends up costing them more and overworking and stressing out the workers. But I believe when you're getting started, you really have to work hard. You've got to do the jobs nobody wants to do and gain as much experience as you can. Okay, this is my final point, and I'll try and make it a quick one. Comparing the Comptia Net Plus with the CCNA. Okay, this is my opinion from doing both of them. Uh, you know, it's okay. Let's begin. The CCNA, it's a lot deeper dive, in my opinion. If you're going to go for a security related role or anything other than being a network engineer, then pursue it. But if you want a deeper understanding of networking, then pursue the CCNA. After achieving the two, I'd honestly go with the CCNA as it's hands-on, it proves you have the capacity to learn advanced topics and pass a tough exam, and familiarizes you with working with the CLI, configuring small size networks. Whereas the Net Plus, it just touches on the foundations, and it's very easy to pass. The CCNA, you get your hands-on lab experience. You work with CLI. You learn advanced topics, and as I mentioned before, it shows you've got the capacity to learn. Whereas the CompTIA Net Plus is theory based, and the truth is, like, they're both great in their own right, but I prefer the CCNA. That's it. So yeah, that brings me to the end of the video. Thank you for listening and watching. If you found it useful, feel free to subscribe. I'm probably going to be making some more videos, Linux related, and possibly when I start the CCNP, I'll probably start making some videos related to that. But for now, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. Goodbye.